This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
It is the year of the rat, and Chinese across the world have been celebrating the Spring Festival, the most important Chinese traditional event.
Well, over the years, the festival, which is also known as the Lunar New Year, has drawn interest in Africa as cultural exchange activities rise.
In the program today, we look at what the Chinese New Year means for the continent and also take stock of the impact of China-Africa cultural relations. Hello and welcome to this special edition of Africa Live. I'm Beatrice Marshall.
And I'm Richard Ntai, and for those of you joining us from across the continent and around the globe, we thank you for joining us. Here's what's coming up on the show. Cultural traditions, food, and festivities mark New Year across Africa. We take a look at how the continent ushered in the Chinese New Year. And also coming up,
Lindim Tongana. Join me later as I explore how Chinese New Year is celebrated in the island nation of Mauritius.
Well, it officially kicked off on the 25th of January. The Chinese New Year Festival is set to go on for 15 days.
Now celebrated for more than 20% of the world, more and more African countries are joining in the celebrations. Cities in Senegal and Nigeria were busy with activities, including the famous dragon dance.
And in East Africa, too, Chinese workers in Uganda and peacekeepers in South Sudan held elaborate celebrations with colleagues and family members. Well, Beatrice, I guess it's safe to say that this is the show we have all been waiting for.
Indeed, Richard, and of course it has been widely celebrated around the continent. And before we get to what's coming up, I'm particularly interested in learning more about the zodiac calendar. That's
right, and guess what? We've got our colleague Asta Tal standing by with all the answers to our questions.
Happy New Year, or Chinese Lunar New Year, that is. China has an ancient system using 12 different zodiac animals to represent the years. Every year ushers in a different animal. Let's see what this year's zodiac animal is. Looks like 2020 is the year of the rat. Now, some of you like me might have a phobia of rats, but don't worry, being born in the year of the rat is actually a great thing. According to Chinese folklore, the Jade Emperor wanted 12 animals to be his guard. He sent an immortal being into our world to spread the message. A race was set to see which of the 12 animals would reach the heavenly gates first. The rat woke early and spied the ox crossing the river. It jumped on the ox's ear and reached the heavenly gates first, so was given the highest rank. Those born in the year of the rat are said to be clever, optimistic, and energetic. The year of the rat also brings about wealth and vitality. Sounds pretty good to me. Many notable African figures were also born in the year of the rat. From the revolutionary Winnie Mandela to funny man Trevor Noah and actor Idris Elba. Even though they weren't born in the same year, the Chinese zodiac system works on a 12-year rotational cycle. China is not the only country to have its own New Year's schedule. And across Africa, countries celebrate the day in unique ways. Cape Town in South Africa is well known for its annual minstrel carnival, where thousands of brightly colored performers take part in Kapse Klopse. Ethiopians ring in the New Year as early as September, in accordance with the Coptic Christian calendar. Known as Enkutatash, the celebrations last 3 days. Many Muslim countries across the continent celebrate the Islamic New Year. Al-Hijra ushers in a period of self-reflection, and many use it as a time to set resolutions. So many beautiful ways to usher in the new year. I'm Asta Tal for CGTN. 新年快乐, or Happy New Year.
I look now at the key events. We start off in Nigeria. Now, you've probably heard of the dragon dance, and if not, it is a traditional dance form in Chinese culture. It represents wisdom, power, and wealth. Like the lion dance, it is most often seen in festive celebrations, and that was the case at the Chinese Cultural Center in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Here's CGTN's Phil Ihaza with more.
Hundreds gather at the Chinese Cultural Center in Abuja for the famous dragon dance. Organizers have put together a week of activities to mark the New Year celebrations, geared towards exploring a broader cultural exchange between China and Nigeria.
Culture is the soul of a nation. I think it's the essential of people to people, I think, in relationship. Through the cultural exchange, our two countries can strengthen our mutual understanding and let Chinese people, Nigerian people, we learn from each other, we improve each other, we can, push forward together for the brighter future. I think it's very beautiful.
China is one of Nigeria's largest trade partners, with trade volumes totaling $9.2 billion, according to the country's Bureau of Statistics. This colorful New Year celebration also marks 49 years of diplomatic relations between China and Nigeria. Attendees here are a mixture of diplomats, business people, high school students, teachers, and artists.
I'm very happy to celebrate Chinese New Year with the Chinese people. And look at me, I'm wearing the Chinese uniform. Isn't it beautiful? We had so much fun and I'm very, very happy.
It's a lovely, exciting, enjoyable view. People are eating, people are watching, they are being entertained. And we, in particular, are very excited about our relationship with China.
Being able to get in touch and just experience another person's culture is an eye-opening experience. You get to see that the world is not just the world that you know, it's a lot more.
Unlike previous editions, this year's Spring Festival has seen more Nigerians trying their hands at Chinese song and dance.
With celebrations like this in Nigeria, everyone here is positive that both countries will strengthen their bilateral and cultural ties, especially as this year, 2020, the year of the rat for the Chinese people, is believed to usher in wealth and surplus. Phil Ihaza, CGTN, Abuja.
And staying in West Africa, Senegal too hosted Chinese New Year celebrations. CGTN's Asta Tal met up with an interracial family and now gives us a glimpse into their life as they usher in the lunar year.
This is Sali, a Senegalese coastal city that provides a tranquil environment for pure relaxation. Now home to Liu Chen, a Chinese girl from Hunan province. Liu Chen and her Senegalese husband, Billy Diop, live in this coastal city with their daughter, Marie-Jean Kinchu Diop. Liu Chen has been away from home for the past 4 years, but she has never forgotten her country's rich and cherished traditions. Just like hundreds of thousands of Chinese natives living abroad, Liu Chen decided to share the joys of Spring Festival with her Senegalese friends and family. But what does Spring Festival mean to Liu Chen?
The Chinese New Year for me is like something symbolic, which reminds me where I come from, who I am. Because if you are in China, maybe you don't feel so strong about this festival. But if you are in foreign country, all people around you, they don't know your tradition, they don't know your culture, and they don't know this date is very important for me.
As tradition would have it, she visits the country's local Chinese market to buy a variety of foodstuff, ranging from green vegetables to red and white meat she plans to prepare for her friends and family. As a part of Chinese tradition, a new year is celebrated with new clothes. Keeping up with this custom, Liu dresses Marie-Jean with new clothes.
Red! Happy New Year, Mama! 红色的衣服，红红火火。
Her husband Billy decorates the family house with all kinds of red decorations, which signifies happiness. Despite missing her family back home in Hunan province, Liu Chen finds it refreshing to prepare a special meal for her Senegalese family and friends as a part of celebrations to mark the new year. But Liu Chen's biggest challenge is celebrating the auspicious occasion without her family back home in China. Despite the distance between them, she made it a point to place a call and wish them a joyous and happy new year.
外公，新年快乐！新年快乐，外公！
Liu prepared China's sweet customary dumplings for her family and friends to eat.
Ça, c'est comme des...
After the dinner, Liu and her bandmates are practicing a Chinese New Year song performed in the traditional Senegalese way. As a married daughter, Liu and her husband Billy drove to visit Job's mother, who lives 2.5 hours drive from Saly in the Senegalese capital, Dakar. While in Dakar, Liu shared with her Senegalese family China's traditional folk art of paper cutting as a way of spreading and keeping the traditional artwork alive. Astatal, CGTN.
Well, let's now discuss the impact of the growing cultural relations between China and Africa. I'm joined by Dr. David Monyai. He's the co-director at the University of Johannesburg, the Confucius Institute. And also joining me is Professor Ho Wenping. She's a professor and director of African Studies at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences in Beijing. Thank you both for joining us on the program. Let me start off with you, Professor Ho Wenping, because the Spring Festival is the most important Chinese traditional event. What is the significance of the Chinese New Year?
Well, yeah, the Spring Festival is the most important festival in China, and also for Chinese people, they think this is the end of the year, according to our Lunar New Year. So this is the end of the year. So after a whole year's hard working, and now this is a time for rest, and also it's the time for family reunion. And so the people normally will travel, no matter how far the distance is. So the son and the daughter, they will travel back to meet the the parents. And so family reunion is a very important thing for this festival. And also when the family together, they were celebrating with lots of food preparing, and also celebrating with a dragon, those dance, and also to visit your relatives and bring those things in red, decorating in the red, wear the red clothes, like me, now I'm wearing the red shirt. So, and also sending now the red envelope to give some kind of a greeting. So these are the things for Chinese people to celebrating the whole year's almost the end, and then we're coming to welcome the New Year's coming. Right. So normally after this Spring Festival, and then the spring is coming.
Dr. Monyai, there is no doubt that the Spring Festival activities across the continent have become more commonplace in Africa. What do you read into this increased interest in Chinese cultural events on the continent?
I think what we are seeing growing quite drastically is the interest of Africans to broaden their knowledge of Chinese culture and really look at the commonalities between the two cultures. I think in South Africa it's nothing new, it's not foreign, it's just growing in terms of numbers. But South Africa has had a huge Chinese diaspora that has stayed here more than 100 years. However, with the expansion of Chinese economy and Chinese people involvement in so many African countries in business, cultural, knowledge centers such as ours, the Confucius Institute. There is more activities where at people-to-people level, people are now drilling into the specifics, looking at the amazing food, Chinese cuisine, looking at music and the narration, the stories, traditional stories around this event. So in our case, we have had lots of events, some organized by the Chinese Embassy, Chinese Consul here in Johannesburg, and independently at University of Johannesburg, the Confucius Institute also had events attended by local students, staff, as well as Chinese community living around Johannesburg, including the expanding Chinese business enterprises.
Professor Ho Wen-ping, now it's more than half a century of friendship and cooperation. How much do Chinese know about Africa's culture?
Well, I think the Chinese, the understanding about the African culture, I think now is getting more and more. During the past decades, a lot of Chinese, they travel to Africa, they are doing business in Africa. So they got to know Africa's culture with their own, this engagement with African people. And also through our institute, we're introducing everything about Africa, political, economic, and culture things to Chinese people through our publication and also through our newspaper commentary article, all of that, the TV and the radio program. So this introduction, and also through our Chinese people, they're traveling to Africa, and plus African friends also traveling to China. So we have a lot of African students now, African business person also here. So whenever they are together with us, they also brought upon with them with African culture. So those kind of a cultural interaction with each other. So this is the thing has been developed with those business contacts has been developed. Cultural thing is a reflection of people's mutually understanding. It's also a reflection of the society. Right. So we find a lot of things in common also. Right. Like family value issue.
Dr. Munyai, I'll bring you in here very briefly, because while Africa's cultural heritage is rich, we do not see a celebration of African traditions, at least not on the scale that China does and in the way that we have seen the Spring Festival being marked. Why, and what can be done to sell Africa's heritage?
I think firstly, why the continent with 54 countries is quite fragmented. It lacks infrastructure, and therefore our entry into China as a continent, it's not coordinated as it should be, even though there are lots of outlets and a number of Africans, as my colleague has mentioned in China, it's not well coordinated, and lack of infrastructure. I think more need to be done in terms of streamlining and ensure that African embassies in China, African businesses, as a high number of African students who are entering Chinese universities, somehow get coordinated and present something quite unique, Africa in South. As well as China, you have one group of people, I mean, culturally diverse, but it's not as diverse as the African continent. We have thousands of different ethnic groups, and therefore at times it's really difficult to present a united front in terms of showcasing the African culture on Chinese soil.
Professor Ho Wen-ping, let me get a brief comment from you here, because both China and Africa have splendid cultural heritages. Yet when it comes to exchanges, culture seems to be of less importance. Why is this, do you think? And exactly how significant is this as China and Africa seek to strengthen their ties?
Well, yes, when we compare with those economic cooperation or political, those mutual visits between those leaders of China and Africa, it seems that the cultural exchange seems has been left behind. This is also a fact because business, the people go there, they they smell the business opportunity, so they move very fast. But compared with those business, cultural interaction and the cultural exchange needs a longer time and also needs those deeper understanding. So I think it's now it's beginning. It's now has been involved in a very good way. Like my colleagues mentioned, we have a Confucius Institute now in different African countries. So those Confucius Institute serves as a platform. Now can, to make lots of cultural exchange happening. But anyway, only by doing very deep and, comprehensive cultural exchanges and only through the people's mutually understanding, I think that will becoming a very deep basis for any business those engagement continue to make those business economic cooperation to move forward in a sustainable way. Because we start those cultural understanding, there are lots of difficulties for those business going on. For example, I heard a lot like some, the trade union, like the labor work, those relationship between African workers, maybe with those Chinese employers, they have some problem, and some Chinese company, maybe they haven't, knowing how to deal with the local community. So those relations is not that smooth and very sound. So this is shows the cultural exchange is very important, even for economic cooperation.
Professor Ho Wenping, thank you very much joining us there from Beijing, and Dr. David Monyai joining us from Johannesburg. To you both, thank you for your insight. Well, some Indians living in Mauritius celebrate the Spring Festival. Indians make up 69% of the 1.3 million people living in Mauritius. Every year, some of them hold New Year's Eve dinner in accordance with Chinese traditional customs. CGTN had a chance of visiting one family.
A normal day in Doma life begins with some exercise, but today he will spend less time observing some Tai Chi, an internal Chinese martial art. Doma is preparing to host a special family dinner later in the evening.
我喜欢的春节，春节很热闹，我有很多中国朋友。过年的时候，我们一起吃饭，像个大家庭。
Doma is a Mauritian of Indian descent. His wife is a Mauritian Chinese. The family of 4 have been in Mauritius for a very long time. Just like the Chinese people, they too take great pride in their food. Dishes are created to give blessings for the next year. After hours of preparations, dinner is ready. And all members of the family attend the feast. The new year surely excites many. And from me, it's Happy New Year. Ciao Mwono, CGTN.
And now let's cross to East Africa, where Chinese in the region are upholding one of the most important philosophies of the Chinese people, hard work. Let's take a look at how some of them are spending this time in their various careers.
In Uganda, Chinese factories are up and running. One of them is a steel factory and mattress facility. Despite the Chinese New Year celebration, the workers must maintain product supply.
为了事业嘛，因为这个在元旦过后呢，是生意最好的。
During the new year, it is the best time for business. All of our employees, including me, stick to Uganda. I stick to Africa to achieve my dream.
Chinese investor Zhang Zichun says she looks forward to spending her time in Uganda. Neither her husband in China nor her son in the United States will join her to honor the Spring Festival this year.
The Chinese New Year is a traditional Chinese culture that represents a family reunion, represents new opportunities and new developments. For me, after all, I have been overseas for more than 10 years, and I basically spend the holidays abroad.
Meanwhile, in Kenya, the Lamu Port Project is planning for the construction of 32 berths. The first phase was constructed by a Chinese company. After the venture is completed, it will provide new access routes to South Sudan, Ethiopia, Uganda, and Eastern Congo. During the holidays, Chinese engineers are still busy at the construction site. The Chinese New Year acts as a reunion day for Chinese across the world, where families come together. For some, this might be the only opportunity that this is possible. However, others prefer to work during this time, especially those involved in the service sectors and those working abroad. Brian Toussaint, CGTN.
A Chinese medical team in South Sudan is celebrating the Lunar New Year by volunteering with orphans.
The team has spent 2 years working at Juba Teaching Hospital without returning home. But they found their own way of marking the holiday period, as CGTN's Patrick Oyette reports.
Another new year that this Chinese medical team is celebrating outside their own country.
We have not seen each other. We have not met each other, me and you, about 2 years. So I miss you very much. Miss you, miss our children.
These doctors are providing treatment and on-the-job training for South Sudanese medical personnel. For Dr. Tang, it is the lives they are saving that give them the strength to be far away from home.
We cannot enjoy the Spring Festival with our families in China, but we can still feel the joy from here because we are celebrating our New Year with the local staff, and we are also doing very meaningful things here.
The team is taking some time off from the hospital to visit an orphanage in Juba. The medical personnel are spending time with the orphans and donating food to them. Despite missing out on the festivities, the doctors say their sacrifice is worthwhile, and the hospital says their work has made a significant contribution.
It is an opportunity to thank the Chinese people. I tell them Happy New Year. I wish them all the success and happiness in China, and I'm very grateful and very thankful to my doctors here. They are helping my people so much, and we are working as one team, and we became friends.
This is the 7th Chinese medical team to work in South Sudan since the country gained independence in 2011, and although their holiday will be shorter than if they were in China, they have found a different way of celebrating in their temporary home. Patrick Oyette, CGTN, Juba, South Sudan.
To South Africa now, where we head to Cape Town, where we meet Mao Shan, also known as Hot Mama.
That's right, hailing from Chengdu, Sichuan province of China, Hot Mama is helping promote traditional Chinese dance and culture in South Africa.
According to the Chinese tradition, the Spring Festival should be a time to prepare New Year goods and share family happiness. For Mao Shan or Hot Mama, there are other pressing matters like helping these kids get their dance move right. They will be performing at a Spring Festival gala later.
I always had a passion to do things, and maybe it's related to where I am from. We Sichuan people in China like to eat hot pepper and hot pot. We are all so energetic and passionate for the cause we love.
Mao Shan is a former soldier with a wealth of experience dancing in the Chinese army. She and her husband moved to Cape Town in 2013.
After coming to South Africa, I found that many overseas Chinese in Cape Town, like me, have spare time besides taking care of their families. Because I'm specializing in dancing, I decided to organize the Hot Mamas in Cape Town to learn Chinese and dance together in their spare time. Then we can spread Chinese culture through dancing performances. In recent years, we made some achievements for our performances, which were all recognized and welcomed by the local South African people.
One of the reasons for her success has been the constant support from her family, especially her husband Peter, who despite his busy schedule still offers a helping hand.
One of the things we've done is I built her a dance room here in the part of the house to teach all ages. And then, you know, I've taken on more responsibilities, like when she has class, then sometimes I cook, and sometimes I need to go and get the children from school when she doesn't have time. And Sometimes in the evenings when they have shows, then you know, I need to take care of the children, and she, you know, she comes home like 9 o'clock. So yeah, 100%. It's good if she has something that she's passionate about to support her.
Come New Year's Eve, and it was time for Mao Shan to showcase her dance program. And going by the reaction from the audience, the performance was a great success.
I am very happy to see that the dance I rehearsed is welcomed by South African guests. Our efforts have been rewarded.
But it's not just dance that Hot Mama is famous for. She's also known for her hot and spicy signature dishes from her hometown in Sichuan, which symbolizes good luck for her family.
Every year, our family gathers together for the Chinese New Year. We eat the hot pot with spices I brought back from my hometown. This is to symbolize that all my family members will be happy, healthy, and prosperous throughout the year. I would like to make a toast to my dear ones. Let's drink.
As Mao Shan tosses to a new year, there is a sense of satisfaction that despite the challenges of being far away from home, she's able to bring the flavor of Chinese traditional Spring Festival all the way to South Africa. Susan Mungeli, CGTN.
Now, did you know that Mauritius is the only country outside of Asia to celebrate the Chinese New Year with a public holiday?
And when we come back from the break, we head straight to Mauritius for a comprehensive coverage of this year's celebrations.
Each day, there are millions of stories. Each one can open new perspectives, new possibilities. Wherever you look, we are there to see, discover, explore. We put the pieces together to find what really matters to you, all around the world, all around the clock. Our reporters are at home across the globe. From our headquarters in Beijing and production centers in Washington, Nairobi, and London, China Global Television Network. Stories from across the globe, reaching people across the globe. CGTN. See the difference.
Welcome back to the program. You're watching a special edition of Africa Live. Now, Richard, if you had one destination where you would be celebrating the special festivities, where would that destination be?
Beatrice, I've got to say, the sandy beaches of Bali.
Bali sounds fabulous indeed. Well, Lindy Mtungana is joining us from Mauritius. She's following the celebrations there. Lindy?
Thank you, Nairobi. And yes, indeed, I am coming to you live from the beautiful Paradise Island nation of Mauritius for this special broadcast for Chinese New Year. And indeed, the Chinese New Year is one of the most important holidays on the Chinese calendar, and it's celebrated across the world. Even Chinese President Xi Jinping took time out of his busy schedule to mark the occasion with his family. And here in Mauritius, it is a big event. To tell us more about that, I'm joined here in the studio by my co-host, the Mauritius Broadcasting Corporation's award-winning anchor and journalist, Roshan Hassamal.
Thank you very much, Lindy. Indeed, it is a very big celebration in Mauritius. It is, in fact, the only African country where the Chinese Spring Festival is a public holiday in Africa, in spite of the Chinese community representing only 3% of the whole population of Mauritius. It is to be noted that the oldest pagoda in the southern hemisphere is found in Mauritius, and it's called the Kwanti Temple. The most beautiful thing about our island is that we celebrate every festival, whether it is the Chinese Spring Festival, Mahashivratri, Eid, Diwali, Christmas, Easter. And the thing is, we always share sweets, hence the name of Mauritius not only being paradise on earth, but also delicious Mauritius.
I can believe that, for sure.
And especially for the year welcoming the Rat for the Spring Festival, there's a place in Mauritius that we call Chinatown, and we have celebrations which last over 1 week, and everyone converges there because it becomes like a mini China. And I heard that you, Lindy, had your very own adventure there.
I absolutely did, Rashan. And I must just say, one of the things that I saw a lot of was this symbol, which means blessing. Such a beautiful way to start the year with that as a reminder of what may come, you know, in 2020. But as for Chinatown, it really was amazing. I mean, I went from being in the thick of the festivities in the Chinatown parade to being in these intimate corners of people's homes as families had dinner and expressed their dreams for the year ahead. So I've really been looking forward to sharing this with you and our audience. Let's take a look. The Chinese Lunar New Year is one of the most important holidays on the Chinese calendar. But who would have thought the occasion would hold such great significance here on the tiny African island of Mauritius? Now, no New Year celebration would be complete without the Chinese lion dance. And here at the Quan Ti Pagoda, preparations are well underway ahead of tomorrow's grand parade. Let's take a look.
The Guanghua Cultural Troupe has put in a year's worth of hard work. From traditional Chinese drumming, folk dancing and kung fu displays, these teenagers are set to put on quite a show for the Mauritius Chinese New Year Parade. The key event is the lion dance, one of the most important traditions at Chinese New Year. In Chinese culture, the lion symbolizes power and wisdom. The dance is performed to bring prosperity and good luck for the upcoming year. It's an ancient ritual dating back over 1,000 years, but it resonates deeply among Chinese around the world, even as far away as Mauritius.
We are the third generation of Chinese in Mauritius. My grandparents came from China. And obviously, we as children, we learn the culture and we try to keep this culture among the Mauritian community. You have the ears, which can be played from inside. See? No. See? It looks lively. The eyes also are blinking. You have the nose here, right? The nose and the mouth. Right? They can play with it. You have the tail as well. This is supposed to be the tail, and they can move it. So it's very lovely.
So how important has it been for you to pass this on to young Chinese generations?
You have culture, you have sport. Those are things that our young, we transmit to our young so that they don't go into drugs, cigarettes, you know. It's the same for culture. Now, so once they are here, they don't even have the time to think about alcohol or cigarette. So they practice their time, all their time after studies at school, their time is spent here. So they are learning something, they are having a good life, good health, and this also is a sort of keeping the tradition of learning our culture, which they will transmit to the young again. Yeah.
After last night's final rehearsal, we're now in the heart of Port Louis, where festivities are just about to begin. The streets are lined with people, all waiting for the start of the Chinese New Year parade.
The New Year's parade features a number of typical Chinese cultural performances. Led by the dragon and lion dancers, the parade also includes a local marching band and a host of other entertainers.
So you have everyone participating, and you know these parades will go like for a week, and everyone's just celebrating and having the traditional cakes and all. Yeah, we just have fun together. So it's the month of January is just like New Year every day.
Every year I come here to see the cultural festival of the people and how festive it is, the culture, the food, and it's really amazing.
Hello, we are from Switzerland. We are enjoying the parade.
，coming of Chinese Lunar New Year. Hope everybody Happy New Year. 恭喜发财，新年快乐。
What a beautiful ending to the parade, as messages of hope and prosperity are carried into the Chinese Lunar New Year. From festivities to food and family time, Chinese New Year's Eve is all about coming together to enjoy traditional Chinese dishes and family reunions.
For Chinese families, the New Year's Eve dinner is an age-old custom that unites relatives. Here in Mauritius, 3 generations of the Li family will cook and enjoy a special New Year's Eve feast. A must on the menu is dumplings.
妈妈都是做饺子，在春节一定要包饺子吃。饺子代表圆圆满满，这个好像元宝一样，利利实实，大家吃了发大财，大家平安健康，吃了一代又一代都传下去，一代一代都幸福圆满平安健康，万事都如意。新年好！
Chinese New Year's Eve is also a chance to exchange gifts. The most common is the Hong Pao, or red envelope. Containing lucky money, the envelopes are gifted to children by their elders as a symbol of passing on a year of good fortune and blessings. The New Year's Eve dinner is served, an elaborate spread of specialty Chinese dishes and family favorites. Amid warm smiles and well wishes, the Li family officially welcomes in the new year.
Welcome back to this special broadcast by CGTN in collaboration with the MBC. The Chinese Spring Festival is indeed very important in Mauritius, and even more now, ever since Mauritius gained independence in 1968, and it has become an official public holiday.
You know what amazes me, Roshan, is that the Chinese community is relatively small in comparison to the population of Mauritius, and they're thousands of miles away from home. And yet, over the years, they've managed to maintain and grow their influence in Mauritian society. What's the history behind that?
Well, the Chinese community has massive influence over the Mauritian economy. Back then, Mauritius was covered with sugarcane, which the Dutch had introduced. The first Chinese migration began in 1835 after the abolition of slavery. Back then, Mauritius was under a British colony. So the Chinese community came to Mauritius because times were hard in China, but also in search for new ventures. And they came mainly here dealing in foodstuff. The whites who were landowners in Mauritius, and it was Indian laborers who worked the fields along with slaves from Africa. Sugarcane being a monocrop in Mauritius, it would take 6 months to grow, and another 6 months to harvest and produce the sugar. So basically, the laborers and the slaves would work only 6 months. So they did not have any income for the remainder of the year. How would they live? How would they earn a living? So this was the role of the Chinese community. They would sell foodstuff on credit to the slaves and laborers, and when they would start working again during harvesting and production time, they would pay back their bills. If this did not happen, Mauritius would not have been where it is today. I have no doubt about it. And also, this tradition continued for another 150 years in the country.
And it's certainly a legacy that exists among a number of Chinese families here in Mauritius. The older generation will tell you that this is a story that really reflects their own history in this country. In fact, this week I sat down with Philip Achuen. Now, his family arrived in the late 19th century. They came as traders, but today they're behind one of the biggest family businesses in Mauritius. Here's his story.
I'm Philip Achuen, third generation Chinese. Granddad, whose name was Chu Wei Chuan, arrived in Mauritius in 1887 at the age of 14 without nothing. And he was told to alight on arriving at a port where there's a mountain. So on arriving at Port Louis, he stepped down and never went back to China.
Like many Chinese immigrants, Grandpa Chuen worked in trade, a business he later passed on to his sons.
These are the two paintings, original paintings of ABC shop, a famous shop where the Achuen family shop started in Port Louis as a retail shop. And the last painting, this is very nostalgic to me because this is the house where grandparents live and also where I was born.
Philip's uncle, Jean-Etienne Achuen's passion for justice led him to join politics, serving as the country's first Chinese cabinet minister after independence. It's thanks to him that Mauritius is the only African country that marks Chinese New Year as a public holiday.
When uncle joined politics in 1948, he always looked after the Chinese interests, but most importantly, I believe he wanted the whole population to benefit from that holiday.
Jean Moulin's contribution to the development of Mauritius was recognized locally and internationally. In 1980, he was knighted by Queen Elizabeth. The 25 rupee note bears his face, and there are streets and even this museum in his honor.
We do go back to China for tourism, but most importantly, at the end of the day, Granddad told us that we are here to stay. In a way, it's a way of paying back to this country, this paradise island. I hope the younger Achuen will continue to adopt the same family entrepreneurial spirit of helping others also, but most importantly, working at the service of a nation.
Mauritius is considered as a privileged partner to China. In fact, bilateral ties have existed between both countries for the past 48 years, whether it is through the Chinese government, the Chinese embassy to Mauritius, also the Chinese Chamber of Commerce. They have worked to promote the culture, the language, and the various traditions. The Chinese government has also financed many projects in Mauritius, the latest one being the Jinfei project, which is an industrial smart city. But to give us more information, we have met with the President of the Republic of Mauritius, His Excellency Mr. Prithviraj Singh Rupan, who had a message for this Spring Festival.
I am today 60 years. Since my own childhood, I know that we have been celebrating the Chinese New Year. And the Chinese New Year is not celebrated just by the people of Chinese origin. It is a period of sharing. Let me wish all people of China, as what we say in Mauritius whenever we meet our friend, Kunchi Fakchot. Happy New Year of that which is coming, which I understand that it represents diligence, it represents kindness, it represents intelligence, and we wish the very best for our brothers and sisters from China.
Now, Mauritius is one of Africa's top tourist destinations, attracting visitors from all over the world. But it is a special treat for those who choose to visit this time of the year. In fact, wandering through the streets of Chinatown, I was keenly aware of the fact that I wasn't the only foreigner around. And I think something special for those coming from far and wide is to be able to experience Chinese New Year here in Mauritius.
That is a correct observation, Lindy. In fact, it is to be noted that every year Mauritius has more and more Chinese tourists coming over for their honeymoon. As for Chinatown, the celebrations are a week long. And we have tourists and also Mauritians who come from all over the island. They converge towards Chinatown and try to take a piece of China back home. But what is also more interesting is the sharing of sweets, but the exchange of gifts. So like you, we went to Chinatown and we carried out a report on what were the best gifts to give one another. Here it comes. I am in Chinatown, located in the capital of Mauritius. It's one of the busiest regions in the country, even more around the Spring Festival. And for my story today, I'm joined by Miss Gu from China Central Television. Hi.
Hi, Roshan.
How are
Hi,
you?
everyone.
Nice to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So we will have a look at the most popular items around the Spring Festival. Let's have a look.
Let's go. Oh, that's a very nice little busy shop. Let's go find out.
Sells a lot of traditional products from China. That's why it's so popular. So you can call it a mini market from China. And over here we can find the sweets that are shared especially for the Spring Festival. Right here in your hand, exactly. This is called gâteau l'acier. It's also known as rice cake. Yes, and comes different sizes, different colors. This is the crab stick, which is known as a gâteau cravate.
I do see why it's called a crab stick. It looks like a crab.
And it's very crunchy. And the third one is my favorite, which is the rice bowl. It's made out of sweet potato, made of sticky rice and sesame seeds.
Oh wow, it's still warm.
And it's known as gâteau zanzli. Very good.
We do see this rice cake everywhere during the festival in Chinatown. I guess maybe this is the most popular one.
This is definitely the most popular and it tastes very good.
And it's originated from the region where the first generation Mauritian Chinese came from.
Yes.
In Chinese, we call rice cake 年糕, and it literally means going higher every year.
I want to go higher, so let's get one.
Oh, there are so many more to look at.
What is also beautiful about this store is that there are many seeds and dried fruits available here.
Oh, you're talking about these things?
Yes, and I always wondered, why is it so important to the Chinese community?
Oh, because these seeds and dry fruits are the things they offer to the god on the last day of the year and take it home, make a special soup to remember their roots.
Oh, what a beautiful culture.
Wow, that's a lot.
I can't wait to share with everyone at the studio. Welcome back to this beautiful studio at the MBC. And Lindy, I have to admit that it was real fun doing this story we have just seen.
It's always fun when there's food involved.
And talking about food, this platter here, it's well known for Mauritian Sino sweets and it was all over Chinatown. And I invite you to taste each of them.
I can't wait. I've been staring at this plate since the beginning of our show.
And also I invite people watching us at home, do come to Mauritius if you want to have a taste of China. And also on behalf of the Mauritius Broadcasting Corporation, I would like to seize this opportunity to thank CGTN for this wonderful collaboration and this wonderful opportunity to showcase the Chinese Spring Festival in Mauritius.
Oh, Roshan, it's been such a pleasure working with you, and a big thank you to you and your colleagues. You've been amazing hosts for us here in Mauritius.
It's been a pleasure.
Well, all that's left to say now is Happy New Year, or 新年快乐.
Or as we say in Mauritius, 恭喜发财.
From us here in Mauritius, a big thank you and a goodbye. It's back to you in Nairobi.
Again, thanks to our colleague Lindy Mtangana, who I must say is having a great time in Mauritius.
Absolutely, Richard. And guess what? We still have more for you, so don't go away, because various African leaders have expressed their goodwill wishes and happiness to the people and the government of China. Let's listen in.
We also wish to put on record our sincere appreciation for the support and cooperation by the people and the government of China in terms of achieving this win-win situation where we are both benefiting from the closeness. And let me also highlight the fact that we look forward to more and more cooperation at people-to-people level. In other ways, I want to expect private partnerships between Zambia and China, companies, between private citizens and private citizens of China. So, all said and done, may there be a lot of happiness, prosperity, and goodness amongst the people of the two countries.
In the occasion of the Chinese New Year, the year of the rat which starts this January 25th, 2020, I wish health, happiness and prosperity to my dear friend President Xi Jinping, to the Chinese government and to all the Chinese people. May this year be for the Chinese people and the whole world a year of lasting peace, solidarity and stability.
To our Chinese brothers and friends, to the entire Chinese people, we say Happy New Year 2020. May this year bring them much prosperity in international cooperation, and so that in this global world in which we live in today, China and Côte d'Ivoire become one people.
Sino-Nigerian cooperation is a noteworthy cooperation, a cooperation that is recorded in golden letters in the annals of our history, from education to health, agriculture, livestock, infrastructure, roads, and communication networks. China was present and continues to be present alongside the people of Niger. We can only wish the Chinese people, government, and Communist Party much joy and prosperity.
Finally, the Chinese people welcomed the Year of the Rat with a favorite pastime, watching the Spring Festival Gala on television.
Well, the over 4-hour show was watched by viewers from all over the country and Chinese communities worldwide on the eve of the Lunar New Year. We leave you with some highlights of this annual visual feast.
Well, that's it from us. Happy Spring Festival. I'm Beatrice Marshall.
And I'm Richard Nta.